TF2 is a cool game.
That sacred motion, my devotion.
Yes, I've used that same joke in the last 2 videos. Shh. No matter how you feel about Team Fortress 2 or how the developers have treated it over the years, one thing is for sure. It stood the test of time. TF2 was released the same year as Hey There Delilah by the Plain White T's. Did you know that? When I found that out, I had a fucking meltdown. When you tell me TF2 is 11 years old, that sounds pretty old. That sounds what? TF2 is 11 years old. That's over a decade. That's pretty old. When you tell me TF2 was released the same year as Hey There Delilah, that's fucking weird. My point is, TF2 has been around for a very long time. But how has it stood the test of time so well? How has it stood so strong in the face of adversity and newer, better updated games? What I'm trying to say is, what makes TF2 so special? In today's video, we're going to answer that question. But before we take this deep dive into TF2, I want to announce something pretty special. As much as I love YouTube, and as much as I love talking about my favourite game on here, it can honestly be quite difficult to fit everything into one single video, which is why I was so excited to hear about Amino's new story feature. Unlike other social media sites, Amino stories act as mini YouTube videos with a higher production quality. You can find my first story, talking about some of the more obscure and just plain weird parts of TF2's lore, down in the description, or by searching Doomsday.exe on the app. If you like my content, or want to support me further, checking out my stories would be much appreciated. Just by checking out my Amino and by watching the stories, you'll be helping out both the channel and me, so be sure to hit the bell and make sure you're aware of everything I post on the platform. First, I want to talk about TF2's character design. The beautiful design of the characters lies in more subtle attributes. The facial design of each mercenary is unique in its own subtle way, and each part of their face infers something different about the character. Both the heavy and the soldier have wider, thicker jaws. This infers strength, power, and masculinity. Yet Heavy's chin and his jawline is much more defined. It comes to a point and is rigid. This fits the fact he is a lot more serious and stoic. He's actually very intelligent underneath his characterization as a violent brute. The guy holds a PhD in Russian literature. On the other hand, Soldier's jaw is a lot more rounded off. It's still very thick, but it's less rigid and is much more blunt, fitting his characterization as an absolute maniac whose only friends are cardboard cutouts. Yes, it's something subtle, and it's probably something you've never really consciously noticed before. But when you look at it, it makes so much sense with the characters' personalities. And it's these subtle little things that really add that little bit of oomph to each character. It defines them as brilliant, instantly recognizable characters, and it leads them to becoming iconic and memorable. On top of this, their designs are also clearly stylized in the exact same way, with simple, recognizable features and silhouettes. This results in character design that not only creates memorable, lovable characters, but creates instantly recognizable silhouettes for the sake of fluid gameplay. This is also backed up for the fact TF2 doesn't take itself seriously. Not at all. The characters in the world are absurd, they're goofy and are supremely funny. The voice lines in game are genuinely hilarious and are just very human, for the lack of a better word. Everything every character says is entirely outlandish, ridiculous, and honestly sometimes quite stupid. But it just makes sense. Of course they would say that. The interactions in TF2 are honestly unmatched. I am yet to hear anything as funny or anything that actually comes close to this, bar other Valve games such as Portal. Here are some of my all-time favourite voice lines from TF2.
Here's what I have that you don't. A functioning liver.
You do not frighten me. Pain does not hurt. I stand corrected.
Dominated! According to unicorn law, you're me bloody wife now.
As I said, TF2 just doesn't take itself seriously. Yes, it's a violent FPS about killing one another, but it's one with cartoony, cel-shaded graphics and comical voice lines that really make it stand out from the crowd. It did this at the time of the release, and it does it now. It entirely went against what the genre, including Team Fortress Classic, stood for. And that was a hell of a risk to take. But it's one that makes it so goddamn great. I mean, the characters literally fight a gigantic, cancer-ridden bread monster with tentacles in one of their shorts. What more could you ask for? This is nothing you would expect from an FPS game, yet TF2 does it, and pulled it off. And it set the stone for so many other FPS games going forward. It just doesn't take itself seriously. It's absurd, it's funny, and it's just great. It's TF2. But it's not just the animations, or the comics, or even the visual design of the characters that makes TF2 so great. You can go even deeper. Look at ridiculously subtle things such as the descriptions added to cosmetics and weapons. I don't know when you last went through to read these things, but I would highly recommend it, because some of them are genuinely hilarious. They're a testament to how goddamn great the TF2 team is at writing. It has that tiny little bit of absurd character and personality to the game that really sets it apart from other games in the genre. Is this something most other dev teams would overlook? Because of course they would. Who would ever think to write about these crazy little stories and jokes in the description for something no one would ever really look at? No one would. But the TF2 team did, and that's what sets it apart. That's what makes TF2 so special, the character. In general, TF2 is built to survive, with cartoony graphics that have genuinely aged like fine wine. Graphics we're still talking about 12 years later. Go back to 2007, pull out a game that has aged as well as TF2 graphics wise, because I think you'll struggle. This, with the comics, the animated shorts and other tidbits of media the Valve team produces, all with a brilliant community constantly creating their own content on top, creates an amazing atmosphere, an amazing sense of character, personality, and community that connects everyone to the game. The design of this game, and the characters, are amazing, and are some of the best I have ever seen in gaming. Creating an atmosphere that is so absurd without making it ridiculous or annoying is extremely difficult, yet somehow the TF2 team pulled it off. And I feel we should be more grateful for that. TF2 is an amazing game, and I don't think we appreciate the fundamentals of it enough. TF2 is great, and we should be grateful. So to answer the question, what makes TF2 special? Well, everything.
That sacred motion, my devotion is leading me into the heartland. I wanted to be an astronaut, but so did everyone. And I'm just not that smart, man.